Hi everyone, welcome to another webisode of eZeLiving.com. Today's topic of conversation is about food, nutrition, our immune system, and the ecosystem that we live in. Now you might wonder why all these topics in one webisode, because they're all interrelated. But before I even start about what's happening today, I want to take you back about 80 years ago when Dr. Weston Price did his infamous research on degenerative diseases and tooth decay. He went to various countries around the world and investigated the indigenous population. And one of the things that he noticed was how well their immune system, their physical appearance, and their teeth were as compared to Western civilization. Because this was at a time where the Industrial Revolution had picked up, and frankly, the West was starting to process what should have come to us naturally, and that is food. We started eating processed foods, canned foods, food in packages. We started introducing chemicals, preservatives into our food, and it had an effect on our anatomy, had an effect on our chemical composition, it had an effect on our immune system, and ultimately it changed and altered our way of life, our existence. So when Dr. Price went around the world, there's a couple of things that he noticed and he picked up on. And I'm going to share that with you right now.
The most universal disease in the world is the decay of the teeth. And unfortunately, we have not known the cause until we've gone to the primitive people to find how they prevent tooth decay. Our difficulty is that we are adding too much white flour and sugar and do not get enough of the foods that carry the minerals and vitamins. When the primitive people adopt the food of modern civilization, their teeth decay just as ours do. I've spent several years studying the primitive people in various parts of the world, and I've come as a missionary from them to the people of modern civilization. And I beg of you to learn of their accumulated wisdom. And if you do, you too can have strong, healthy bodies without so much disease as we suffer from these days.
He first visited Switzerland to study whether greater nutrition could be obtained from foods produced at higher altitudes, such as in the Swiss Alpines. He discovered the isolated Lechental Valley, a community compelled by its very isolation to eat locally produced foods. Here he made physical examinations of teeth, recorded data, collected menus, and made photographs of the people. Samples of food and saliva were taken for later analysis in his laboratory. The children had well-formed teeth, good physiques, and an apparent immunity to disease and dental problems. They ate mainly dairy products, whole rye bread, and plant foods such as potatoes and cabbage. Meat was eaten sparingly, usually only once a week. In contrast, Swiss children living in modernized districts had widespread tooth decay, facial and dental arch deformities, and greater susceptibility to disease. Their diet: refined flour, a high intake of sweets, chocolate, sweetened fruits, and a reduced use of dairy products. On his next journey, Dr. Price visited the Outer Hebrides, located off the coast of Scotland. Here he made similar studies among the Gaelic people who inhabit these isolated islands. These rather barren islands have very few trees and little fertility. The islands are often subjected to rough seas and blizzards from the North Atlantic. Most of the people are of early Scottish descent, possessing a physique that rivals that found almost any place in the world. Their teeth are of unusual perfection. The basic foods of these islanders are fish and oat products, such as oatmeal, whole grain breads, and shellfish. But when the islanders were exposed to the foods of commerce, it was a repetition of what had been found in Switzerland. Bad teeth and general physical degeneration was the result. In 1933, Dr. and Mrs. Price visited Alaska to study the Eskimos, one of the last examples of a Stone Age people. The areas they visited were isolated. Travel was often very difficult. Among the Eskimos, Dr. Price discovered examples of physical excellence and dental perfection seldom found anywhere else in the world. Living in isolated districts on native foods, they had uniformly broad dental arches and typical Eskimo facial patterns. Their general health was excellent. The Eskimos ate foods rich in minerals and vitamins, mainly caribou, kelp, berries, fresh fish, organs of large sea animals, and seal oil. When the Eskimos were exposed to the foods of commerce, there was a marked rise in dental decay and a change in facial and dental arch formation. Dental service was not readily available, and dental pain was often acute among these people. Primitive Peruvian Indians, subsisting on natural foods indigenous to their country, were healthy and robust, with fine teeth and sturdy bodies. But those who ate the foods of commerce were degenerating and dying rapidly. This was another warning, another indication to obey nature's laws.
Modern society eats all types of foods that Dr. Price identified as non-foods or dead foods. He labeled refined carbohydrates as the white plague and included in this group all sugar and white flour products. I think the term junk food is pretty accurate to describe this kind of food. Today, we are at a great disadvantage in the selection of foods because we haven't been taught to recognize a specific need for special foods.
So truth be told, the food that we're consuming today in the 21st century is devoid of any nutritional value. There's no substance. What we're eating is food that is devoid of its natural goodness. So, what do we have to do to remedy this problem? We got to go back to the essentials. We got to go back to the fruits. We got to go back to the vegetables. We got to go back to eating what nature provides us in its raw state. If you can do that, you're going to do yourself and your body a lot of good. Thanks for watching eZeLiving.com, where you can find anything and everything lifestyle.